Howdy, 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 my darling Scorpio. How are you doing today, friend? Let's get into your weekly tarot reading for June 2023 and see what's going on in your life. Now, we don't need to do any long introduction, Scorpio, but if you do enjoy this tarot reading, it does help me out quite a bit if you were to give this video a like and subscribe. And yeah, let's just get right into this. We're going to do one more bridge shuffle, Scorpio, before we get into this here, all right? So let's see what's going on with you, darling. And also, by the way, Scorpio, I understand that not everyone cares about relationships and not everyone cares about career. So I like to cover both in my general tarot readings. So I like to talk about the tarot messages and how you would relate it to your social life, romantic, platonic. And then I like to also talk about when it comes to just your career, financial, just your physical pursuits. All right. So we have the Two of Swords coming in for you, Scorpio. And so with that Two of Swords, I'm going to be talking about this from an approach right now from your career standpoint and just your physical desires here. You are at this point in time, Scorpio, where it's really important for you to make a decision. Are you happy with the life that you have right now and where things are going? If yes, fabulous, then don't make any changes. But if you are not happy with how certain things are going, you are in control right now for you to change your trajectory. Now, what does that look like? We'll get into some clarifiers afterwards here, but there is this sense of where, think about it as if you're driving down a highway, Scorpio, and you're about to, when you see the exit signs being like, oh, the next exit for exit 330, is in half a mile. Does that make sense? And so be expecting that. We'll get more detail about what that is looking like for you. Now, when it comes to your social life here, all right, it does feel like a little bit of the same thing with this crossroads here. It's like you are at this position here where it's like, all right, like you have a good mind, Scorpio, of like where something, like an idea of like where something is going. You may not want to admit it to yourself right now, or fully, maybe you're like wanting to find like a string to grasp onto, perhaps for some of you, where you're like, you don't want to admit it to yourself, but it's like your intuition is like right on when it comes to a person, seeing like how things are going to be looking 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, Scorpio. And I feel like you are having this question to yourself, being like, is this person really worth it? A message I wonder, some advice I want to be giving to you, Scorpio, is that can you take this person for where they're at currently? All right. And what I mean by this is that just because we can see the potential in folks, right? We all have potential in ourselves, but we don't reach our maximum potential with everything, right? I don't care who you are, you just don't, right? For example, I'll just speak for myself, since I know some people might get offended by me saying this, but it's like, I am not even close to reaching my maximum potential when it comes to my productivity of my career, and that's just the reality of it. And it's not a bad thing. It means there's like always somewhere where I can grow, but we're human. We're not always going to be reaching maximum capacity. I'm definitely not reaching my maximum potential, honey, when it comes to speaking with y'all, Scorpio. But ultimately here, it's like, don't bet on someone's maximum potential. Can you accept them for where they're at currently? If not, girl, branch off. All right. So clarifying this here, we have the Sun card. All right. So a little bit of a simplistic message here, but not a bad one, because the Sun card is the best card in the tarot deck, Scorpio. But it is this message of where, it's possible for you to be happy. All right. It's absolutely possible for you to be happy. Can you find that happiness with where you're currently at with your current path? Absolutely. But also you could be a lot happier going down this new path as well. So don't use the excuse to enable yourself to continue not making any changes in your life, Scorpio, because you're like, oh, well, things are okay now, but if I were to make changes, I could be a lot worse off. I could be a lot less happy. All right. The Sun card, like, it doesn't matter if it's inverted or it's upright here. You can't make the Sun card be negative. Truly, it's such a it is the most positive card in the tarot deck for that reason. All right. And so it is this message for you, Scorpio, where it's just like, don't make your decision based off of like what you think has the highest chance of success, and just do with what it is that you want to do, because in the long run, success is going to find you either way. All right. Now in your social life here, kind of like the same relevant message here, where it's just like, don't choose to stay in like a toxic relationship or a toxic friendship out of fear that you're never going to find anybody else in your future. Or if you do, they'll be worse than what it is you have currently. It's not the case, Scorpio, whether this is a romantic relationship, friendship, or even business relationship in your life. All right. Continuing on, we have here the World card. So I'm going to be just very blunt in this regard, Scorpio. When I see this world card, this is a card of finality. This is the final card in the major arcana, the Fool's Journey. And so you are going to be kind of delaying the inevitable here if you choose to stay on your current path. Now, yeah, and that just goes for both sides, both aspects, social life as well as your career and your projects here. And so this is the question where it's just like, yeah, you have this, excuse me, you have this crossroads that's about to be presenting themselves to you, Scorpio. Yeah. But you know, eventually you're gonna have to merge onto the other side, you know, so you can take advantage of it right now and not waste as much time, or you can just stay down your path eventually that's still going to lead you to making that change that these tarot cards are implying anyways. And that again just applies for both sides here. All right, the world card is letting you know where it's like, you know, it has the representation of ending that fool's journey to start a new fool's journey, but it also, this is where some people get caught up the most, because it does have the representation where it's like getting caught in the same cycles and caught in the same loops, Scorpio, right? Until you eventually come to the same answer that you could have gotten to right from the beginning. All right, I know that might sound like a little bit doom and gloom, but you know, girl, you didn't come in and take in this tarot reading and listen to me this long without under the assumption that I'm gonna just promise you the world and then some, right? So continuing on here, Scorpio, you have the Hanged Man coming in. All right, so I'm going to be very brutally honest once again, honey. That's how I always function here with this Hanged Man. This is letting me know I don't really see the sense of like certain people changing. I feel as if there's certain folks in your life that you have, I don't want to say out-evolved or outgrown, because that sounds very condescending. You may want to be condescending towards them, but that's not my tea to spill. But Scorpio, I do feel as if like you have grown. You know what this is? Let me use the example. It's like, you know, as I've gotten older, there's been people in my life, especially from high school, that love him to death, got along with him for so many years, but it's like some of my friends now, as I've gotten older, are becoming parents. I have nothing in relation to them anymore. Where their focus is right now is building a family. My focus right now is building my business. Nothing, there's no hypothetical wrong path here to take. It's just what it is that's in your heart. And so naturally, there's just certain folks that I'm starting to grow apart from. Does that mean that I have to cut them out and just never talk to them again? Absolutely not, Scorpio. But it is a time where you have to, at some point in time, call out the elephant in the room, Scorpio. So it's just like, hey, we're doing different things right now. You know, we don't have much else to talk about anymore. You know, let's put our focuses elsewhere. And so when it comes to your career, Scorpio, I do feel like there's this message of like being destined for change. Maybe right now you're unhappy with where you're currently working at. The message that I have here is that you should start developing like a plan for like what happens after you're done working there. Let's hypothetically say, Scorpio, you get fired from your job tomorrow. I'm not saying you're about to get fired or anything, but let's hypothetically say you get fired tomorrow. What are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do? You know, whatever it is you're working on, let's say that just implodes. All right, what are you going to be doing? What's next for you? I don't even want to say plan B, but it's like, what would you be doing if what it is you're currently working on is no longer relevant? Because I feel like what it is that you're working on currently is not relevant to you anymore, or it's about to become irrelevant to you. Like, I feel like 6 months, by the end of this year, you're not going to be doing what it is you're currently doing. All right. Again, not a bad thing, because remember, it's in the name of completing a cycle. And the Sun card, once again, blessing this to start a new fool's journey. I really do feel like for you, Scorpio, you're at this place of where, even if you're currently still working at your same job, I don't feel like you're going to be working the same position, just to be very brutally honest here. And so again, it's one of those choices of like, when are you going to be ready? You know, right now, some of you may be ready to move on right now from certain people. Some of you might be ready to move on from that job right now. For others of you, you may want to have a little bit more of a savings, but just still develop that exit plan, Scorpio. All right. And then we have the Page of Cups coming in here. I do feel like once you do let things go, because then right afterwards, Scorpio, we do have the Judgment card. It's like, yeah, once you do let something go, Scorpio, then that's when new energy can be finding you. Page of Cups can represent new opportunities coming into your life. And then conveniently enough, Scorpio can represent new people coming into your life. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds with this Page of Cups here. And then the Judgment card, I always like to say that's like your spiritual team taking action in your physical world to just make things happen, to get things going here. And so it is this sense, Scorpio, where it's like, hey, you know, once you do the spring cleaning, your spiritual team, they have a bunch of furniture to be bringing into your space, but you got to get rid of that old futon, honey, that old sofa, right? That couch is so old that we don't even call it a couch anymore. It's a sofa. Don't be afraid of letting things go. Ultimately here, Scorpio, it can be seen as like a bittersweet energy, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I'm very positive about this one because I'm not the one going through it actively. Like, this is your life. Granted, I am a Scorpio cusp. Anyways, but what I am trying to say here, Scorpio, is that like I am just so optimistic about what comes after this chapter that to me, I'm just like, yeah, I want Scorpio to be over this chapter because of the good stuff that's coming in for them. 3 of Wands coming in here, and then the 4 of Pentacles, and then the 8 of Wands. So yeah, ultimately, Scorpio, the only advice I can be giving to you at this time is to really just start developing that plan. Now, really take it to heart with what I said beforehand. What would you do if you lost your job today? You know, if what it is that you're working on currently, what would happen if you were no longer working on it? All right. And start investing some of your resources into this new stuff, this new energy here, because it's going to be invaluable. It's going to be what takes you to that next level. You are actively going through growing pains right now, Scorpio, and I'm not trying to downplay things that are going on in your life. I know I can speak in such a black and white type of tone with these tarot cards, but truly, Scorpio, I see you at a point in time where it's like you've evolved enough. You've evolved to the point now where it's like you have to, it's like you've grown up enough, you've gained enough weight, honey, that's like you can't deny it anymore. You have to go and up a size. All right. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on how you perceive it. All right. And so then we end out this tarot reading with the Page of Wands, Scorpio. Page of Wands, once again, just talks about new opportunity, but this also is just this sense of like what is going to be coming into your life here, Scorpio. It's going to be, putting it's like sparking a light in your soul again. It's like there's a better terminology I want to be saying for this, but it's just like feeling alive again, having excitement in your life again, new energy in your life again. So maybe you've been feeling pretty stale in some facet of your life, but ultimately here, this is a tarot reading that I have for you, darling Scorpio. Hopefully something in here resonated, and I'll connect to you sometime in the near future. Bye, Scorpio.